staying with the Cowboys, going on to a more troubling issue is with Greg Hardy and the team's star pass rusher. And ever since the Cowboys signed Greg Hardy back in March, after he came off the commissioner's exempt list, and he was a free agent to be signed, nobody really wanted to touch him. The Cowboys signed him, brought him in because everybody knew Jerry Jones was just that guy to be like, hey man, I just want to do I got to do to win. And Greg Hardy is one of the best pass rushers in the game. I mean, he's counted for most of the Cowboys sacks since he's came back. He had their lone sack last week against Philadelphia. But the problem is, since he's been back, it's been nothing but negative media, negative publicity, negative everything. Like since that first interview that he gave, since the second interview he gave, to the photos coming out of what happened with the incident with the woman, which is when the photos, because initially people were a little wishy-washy with him being signed. And they were like, okay, well, let's see how it goes. Then he gave that first interview, which he didn't address the whole domestic violence incident at all. He didn't address it. And as ESPN said, he showed no remorse for it. And he just kind of went on. And in that first interview, that's when he brought up the comments about Tom Brady and Tom Brady's wife. In the next interview, when they were asking him about his blow up on the sideline, that's when he had the no comment, next question snafu. And so then going on from that, like it's just been, and Jason Garrett's had to sit down with Greg Hardy 4 separate times to talk with him about, his conduct off the field and, on the field, as far as what happened with the special teams coordinator, the special teams coach, when he knocked the clipboard out of the special teams coach hand and he's got up in his face. But recently, Greg Hardy, even on Twitter, he had an issue where he tweeted that he was innocent. And I have
he put that in his bio, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, he has it in his bio. I have it right here. Give me a second. He had tweeted that innocent until proven guilty, hyphen lack of knowledge and information is just ignorance, hyphen the unjust / prejudicial treatment of different categories of people is discrimination. He put that in his bio on Twitter. And then after meeting with Jason Garrett, he changed it. And in a statement Jason Garrett made about Greg Hardy, after what people are asking him about, do you think Greg is listening to what y'all have to say? Jason Garrett said, I think the biggest thing we try to do with any player is just address things when they come up, and we address them in-house. And we deal with things inside these walls, and then we move forward. And then after that, Greg Hardy changed his Twitter, because he had changed it to perfection when he put up that innocent claim that he had on Twitter. And then he changed his thing back to Machiavelli Kraken, which is his nickname in the NFL. It's called the Kraken. And he changed it to, and then this was like weeks ago, and he expressed regret. He never directly addressed the domestic violence case, but this is what he had said. He had put on November 7th, weeks ago. He had said, and these quotes are from ESPN. He said, just had to say, I express my regret for what happened in the past, and I'm dedicated to being the best person and teammate that I can be. Those are weeks ago, but then recently, just a few days ago, when he had changed his Twitter to claiming he was innocent, it's like, wait, hold on a second. He took a step forward by expressing regret, and even though he never particularly said what he was expressing regret for, he did say he expressed regret for his past, but then claims innocence in like a few days later. So then Jason Garrett had to talk to him and address that. So what do y'all think? Do y'all think that Greg Hardy is becoming more trouble than he's worth? Because it seems like now at this point, Jason Garrett's had to sit down with him 4 separate times about 4 different occasions, 4 different situations. And it just seems like now he's just becoming a distraction rather than a addition, adding on to his team's greatness. He's becoming more of a distraction. So what do y'all think? And granted to you all, there's other players in the league that have expressed their displeasure with Greg Hardy playing, like the Eagles lineman Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey. They've expressed their dislike for him playing. Recently, Jason Kelsey said, Lane Johnson has said, as quoted from the Philadelphia Daily News, he said, anytime I had a chance to put a little extra mustard on the block, I tried to. And he said regarding talking to Greg Hardy, he said he wasn't all that emotional in the game. I guess he's in the other games. I don't know if the stuff got to him on the news, but he kind of seemed out of it a little bit. And then Jason Kelsey said, I'm glad he didn't have a good day. To the Philadelphia newspaper, he said, it's a joke a guy like that is able to play this quickly. And then Jason Kelsey went on to say, there's 3 people I have zero respect for in this world. People who hit women, who molest children, and who are rapists. And Jerry Jones went on after their comments to say, Greg has a commitment to us. He has a commitment to do the right thing. We expect him to do the right thing. And he said, and then Jason Garrett said, we decided we were giving him a second chance, but in doing so, the expectations and the standards we set would be very clear to him, and how he and really everybody else is supposed to conduct themselves on the football field and off the football field. So do y'all think at this point that Greg Hardy is becoming more of a liability than, than an asset? Colin, let me start off with you and what you think.
I think he is, because he said what Jerry Jones said, he was going to give him a second chance. Mm-hmm. Seems like this is like his 4th chance or something like that, because he's like constantly having to talk to him, and it's just Greg Hardy is always in the media every week, and it's always something negative. So in giving the Cowboys a negative outlook on their whole team and their organization, like why would you draft like the Eagles players were saying, it was like, why is he playing so quickly? Like, why is he on this team if he's causing so much trouble? Mm-hmm. Not to mention that he's just not being like showing any remorse. Yeah, any remorse, and he's not showing proper conduct when he's on and off the field. I know you're a very great defensive player. You're one of the best pass rushers in the league, but you have to still act like, you're one, you got to have some kind of etiquette in and outside the locker room. And you have to talk to the media when you have to. You can't be cutting them off saying, no comment, next question, no comment, next question, being all rude with them. And then you can't be having posts like innocent until proven guilty. And then what was the other one? I think he had the Machiavelli, put his bio back to the Machiavelli thing. But you can't be doing that when you're such a great player and it's such an asset to the team. Because one, they don't want to have to get rid of you. So that it means you can't be you can't be doing these things and making the team look bad. You have to show yourself in a certain light, especially with the Cowboys. And so many people love the Cowboys. Yeah. This is what America's team or something. So they always looking at the Cowboys. If you're the person that's just plaguing the Cowboys' whole image, you're kind of like, you have to learn how to do better for the whole team. Now, not for just yourself, because you may feel remorse or not about the thing, but make sure you think about the team as well.
All right, Rashad, what do you think about the Greg Hardy developments and what Khaled had to say?
We're going to go with Khaled said first.
Okay.
One, it ain't America's team or something. It's America's team. That's the first thing I had to address.
It's America's team or something.
No, it's America's team. No, something. It is. Now, about this issue, I don't think what's more like, is it worth the trouble? I don't think he's. I think he's. You keep him on the team is what I'm trying to say. I mean, the reason Jason Garrett has to talk to him so much is because the media always puts Greg Hardy into it. Yes, what Greg Hardy did is wrong. Yes, I'm not supporting what he did. Nobody's supporting what he did, I'm sure. But there's a lot of troubling players in the league that's getting a second chance. Like let's Incognito. Is that his name?
Richie Incognito.
Yeah, he got a second chance. No one really brought that back up.
But I don't know if that's the example you want to use, because Richie Incognito's situation was more of a bullying thing, but then people in the locker room, in that Dolphins locker room, didn't feel as though he was bullying Jonathan Martin. So there were people that were split on sides. Racial
statements?
Riley
Cooper's racial statements.
No, Riley Cooper's racial statements. There were people. The only people that really supported Riley Cooper were people on his team.
Yeah,
and Riley Cooper, he did get a second chance, but the problem is you haven't heard anything from him since. That's the difference.
But see, that's because
you haven't heard anything about Richie Incognito since.
The media hasn't covered this though. Like this stuff, it puts it out. It sets it up for him to get in trouble. Like
no, but because there's nothing for
all the highlight is on Greg Hardy for anything he does now. Like just because he don't speak to the media, it's such a big deal. It's such a negativity in the locker room. Because his statements about, more than just him said something about Tom Brady. Of course we know that. And for him to say guns blazing, it's just what he used, the choice of words. It's not nothing wrong with it. It's a metaphor. A lot of people use it, but because he used it because of what he did is a problem. Like I said, I'm still not supporting him, but I feel like it's unfair that everything he does now is looked at as negative because of what he did, when like he hasn't done anything since. Yes, he got in trouble. Yes, his suspension got shortened, but he hasn't done anything since, other than what he's basically a Terrell Owens who has domestic violence hanging over him. That's basically what he.
That's a big thing hanging over you. That's a big thing hanging over you, though.
But there's also other huge things hanging over you too. Like I said, like racism, that hangs over people too. That
it does.
It's
some of the people have expressed remorse. There's a difference. Riley Cooper apologized.
That's the whole problem with Greg Hardy.
And came before every black player in that locker room, including Michael Vick, who was one of the. And Michael Vick has a lot of standing in this league. And Michael Vick came out and spoke in favor of Riley Cooper. So Riley Cooper apologized to every black player in that locker room. Greg Hardy hasn't apologized to nobody. And even some people have even said that there are people on the team, the Cowboys team, who are just like, hey, he's here. We're gonna play with him, but we don't like Jason Witten is he came from a household of domestic violence, and it's been adamant. Jason Witten has many charities that support domestic or to go against domestic violence, and that fund for people that need help with domestic violence. So you can only assume how Jason Witten feels about this situation. And Jason Witten is now on the same side of the ball as Greg Hardy. And a lot of people, we know this being on the football team. There's so many people on the football team. You don't have to be cool with everybody on your football team. So, but you can also assume that there are many people on the Cowboys that are like, man, we don't really he can play, but we don't want him here. Because you can only imagine how many of those people go home to wives, children who like, yo, Greg Hardy's like, what's going on with this dude? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and the only difference between like the people you name, like Terrell Owens, I mean, this man cried. That's my quarterback. He
had a lot of infield, in locker room.
But Terrell Owens stuff was never
showed it emotionally.
The only time Terrell Owens really had an issue was he kind of brought tension with the team. He separated the team, but he didn't separate the team on an issue that went beyond football. Terrell Owens, when he came and brought tension to a team at times, it was because, hey, Tony Romo, you're not giving me the ball enough. You know what I'm saying? Then Tony Romo's like, bro, I'm passing to everybody that I can. Like, I mean, everybody knows Jason Witten is Tony Romo's go-to guy. But then Terrell Owens comes in and says, hey, man, you need to get me the ball. That's a football issue. Greg Hardy's issue is domestic violence. That's off the field. That's an issue that goes way deeper than football. And then when you see the photos of what he did to that woman, that's disturbing, man. I know you're not defending it. You're not defending it. I get what you're saying, but we also you're right. It's happening because it's Greg Hardy, but that's also some of the things that come because of what he did. You're right. That comes with what he did. If Greg Hardy never did what he did, guns blazing wouldn't mean nothing. If Tom Brady said we're gonna come out guns blazing, nobody would care.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying as Greg Hardy, from what you did, you have to know that people are looking for that stuff, and the media. If Jason Garrett has talked to you 4 times,
but that's because the media. Because he's always in trouble with the media, so he feels like he needs to talk to.
But he's done. No, it's not just the media.
It's just his actions.
But I'm saying, but the media comes with football. The media in your contract.
The media is what's getting him in trouble. I understand because
he does something to get the media to say something to say something in reaction. He came out.
It does something. The media boosts up.
Yeah, exactly. The media is going to cover whatever you do wrong, and it's the media just puts on a bigger scope. But Greg Hardy's still the one that's doing these things. Whenever a teammate blows up on the sideline, the other players are covered too. The only reason why it's Greg Hardy's because Greg Hardy is a player that can be cut like that because of what he did. The reason why other players aren't getting as much attention from what their blowups, like Ben Roethlisberger has been notably had issues with what's the chart something Hale the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who's your offensive coordinator? I can't remember his name. He used to be the head, like the coach of the Cardinals a while ago, or the offensive coordinator of the Cardinals. I can't remember, but it's been notable. It's been noted that Ben Roethlisberger and him don't get along on the sidelines. You see the arguments. Tom Brady's gotten into arguments with their offensive coordinator on the sideline, but it becomes nothing because you realize it's strictly football issues, and you realize Tom Brady's still a great guy on and off the field. You know that it's just probably something big football related. But when Greg Hardy does it, people are like, man, you technically shouldn't even be on a team. And you're still blowing up like this as if you have standing. But people are saying, like, Ray Rice can't get on a team. I mean, granted, the difference between Ray Rice and Greg Hardy is the fact that people think Ray Rice can't play no more. Greg Hardy can. So that's the difference. But that's the reason why Greg Hardy's on such a microscope, because when you do something like that, like you are in trouble like that, it's just the same thing with Johnny Manziel. Anything that comes with alcohol now, people are going to put Johnny Manziel on the same microscope. Same thing with Greg Hardy. anything that you do negative now, you're gonna be under a microscope.
Yeah,
that's just how
I understand that. But okay, so I understand what you're saying. So you know how the pictures just came out, right?
Yeah.
You know how when we first talked about this, the very first time he came
Todd
back to the
Haley,
league,
thank you.
Yeah.
when he came
Todd
back in the very beginning, his very first game when he said the guns blazing statement,
Yeah.
and we was talking about, you were saying how he had no remorse, he never apologized or anything.
Mhm.
So even if he apologized and these pictures just came out, it wouldn't have did nothing. The apology wouldn't have meant anything anymore.
I don't know.
So that's why.
Well,
so for him,
no, we can't say that because
that apology wouldn't.
no,
have meant nothing.
because Ray Rice's apology meant something, and people saw the video.
Yeah.
Ray Rice's apology.
But see, Ray Rice's apology mainly came out after the video was after TMZ submitted the video.
But Ray Rice's thing, Ray Rice didn't wait as long as Greg Hardy did. Ray Rice didn't let. Ray Rice was mainly mute.
He was mute until the TMZ
the
video came out, and that's when he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah, he apologized. He did
because everybody saw the video.
But he did express apologies to his fiance.
Yeah,
he expressed, and that's the number one person he needed to apologize to because she's the one he did the transgression against.
Yeah,
but Greg Hardy hasn't been noticed to apologizing to anybody. Greg Hardy,
how can we sit here and say, how do we know if he apologized to his fiance or not?
Because no, Greg Hardy girlfriend. Because they're broken off now.
I know, but how do you know? How do we know that he didn't say anything to her?
Because pretty much the girl has disappeared since everybody's assuming since he paid her off. Because the girl technically has disappeared. And there have been no, even when people try to interview her, she just doesn't want to talk about the whole thing. She just disappeared.
She released pictures.
She's very
no, she's not the one that released the pictures.
Nah,
it was an NFL. It was an NFL. Investigator who released the pictures to Deadspin, and the Deadspin, put it out there for everybody else to see. So they're the ones that released the picture. I forgot the woman's name, but she's the one that released them. Okay. But
so like
I think the apology would have given him the pictures would have came out. People have been like, damn, that's what you did. But
and the apology still wouldn't have
but we can't say the apology wouldn't have mattered because when Ray Rice apologized, even after his video, the only thing that the only issue with Greg Hardy is he's waited so long. He still hasn't technically apologized for that incident directly. He still hasn't apologized.
But I mean, he said he regrets.
He said he regrets the things he done in the past.
He said he
hasn't been specific about it.
He never alluded to the domestic violence. Ray Rice.
But we can assume
it,
but he's talking about that.
But then you come out and you tweet you're innocent. You nullified everything you just tweeted in your regret thing by coming out and saying you're innocent. Everybody's ignorant. For pictures that we have visible evidence of. He's pretty much going off the fact that because he wasn't convicted, he's innocent. And granted, he technically in the court of law, he is innocent because he was never convicted. But he was found guilty in a bench trial. But then he appealed the trial, took it to another court, and then the girl disappeared. Where people are saying that pretty much they had a settlement out of court where he paid her off initially, and the girl disappeared. And then he appealed the court for the whole incident to be wiped off his record. So right now it got expunged off his record. So it's the whole thing pretty much never happened. It's just an incident. The girl's however much dollars richer. Greg Hardy has nothing on his record.
But but there's no proof that he paid her off.
Come on, she just dropped charges like that,
make assumptions.
No, but the investigator said that she technically got paid off because they had an out of court settlement. I mean, I can bring up a lot of people that out of court settlement. Everybody, investigators find out they initially technically got paid off when you follow the money trail. Like, I'm not gonna throw shade on my man's. But, I was contemplating bringing up a name, but I'm not gonna throw shade on my man's.
But see, like, I still feel like no matter what happens, even now, even if he apologizes tomorrow, today, anytime, I think it's not going to change anything. He's still going to be the same person who gets frustrated in the game when they're losing. He's still going to be the person that doesn't want to speak because he just there's times like that. He's still going to be the same Greg Hardy that just said, "I'm sorry."
No,
I think the media is still going to take it as he still shouldn't be in the league. Other players are still going to take it. He shouldn't be in the league. Yeah, everybody's going to take it. He still shouldn't. But he's in the league. But here's the difference is the only reason why the other players are cool with everybody else being in the league because they showed remorse right after. Adrian Peterson, after he did the thing with his child, and people were split on that. People were still. Here's the thing: there's no split with this Greg Hardy thing. There's no split with the Ray Rice thing. There's no side that's like, oh well, that's not domestic violence. Blah blah. Adrian Peterson's thing. There are people like, oh well,
I got beat like that.
Yeah,
when I was
that was
like,
discipline.
you know what
That's
I'm
what I'm
saying?
saying. So he apologized so he can get back to the league faster.
No, but
he understands that the way the way media in the league and the world views it now, that's negative. But to him, that's probably like
who you talking about? Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson. But I'm like, I just whooped my child for a punishment.
No, but that's how you have to learn. You have to adjust.
You have to adjust to. That's why he apologized, because it's for the world to understand. He's probably not apologizing to himself, like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done it."
You don't think he
done it.
No, but he understands that. He even came out in his statement and said, you know, I merely was trying to discipline my child.
Yeah,
but he now understands there's a level to where you can't pass. So he apologized. He expressed remorse to his own child.
Yeah,
because his child got taken away from him. So he went and apologized to his kid and to the people, to people of Minnesota, saying, you know, I realized what I did was wrong. I shouldn't take it to that extent. He did apologize for the extent that he beat his child. He's not apologizing for the fact he disciplined his child. There's nothing wrong with him. Nobody's saying that disciplining your child is wrong. It's to the extent that Adrian Peterson took it. So he apologized to the extent. Greg Hardy hasn't apologized for. I mean, you should never put your hands on a woman.
Nope.
You're right.
You should never put your hands on a woman. So there's no extent what Greg Hardy's saying. Adrian Peterson's thing, there was side that were like, hey, AP, we see where you're coming from. There was side saying that's just child abuse. And so you had half of America split. Greg Hardy, everybody's unified saying, bro, you're a bad dude. That's
just apologize.
And the way yeah, exactly. They're just like apologize for something. He hasn't showed any remorse for anything, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Since he's been back, he hasn't expressed regret for the past, bro. I express regret for the past. I mean, I'm saying anybody can say I express regret for the past. And that's such a general thing. Like, what people want him to do is specifically say, I express regret for my domestic violence thing. There's a big difference. Everybody can say, you express regret for the past, but I can't say I express regret for domestic violence. I've never done it.
Yeah.
Greg Hardy's done it. Anybody in the whole NFL can say I express regret for the past. People want him to talk about the domestic violence thing and actually atone for what he did and actually say, hey, I'm sorry for what I did to the girl. I apologize. I should have never put my hands on her. He's never even said I shouldn't have put my hands on her. And that tweet that he said, I'll reread it for you. He never even said, you know, I apologize for putting my hands. I shouldn't have put my hands on her or nothing like that. This is what he said. Just had to say, I express my regret for what happened in the past, and I'm dedicated to being the best person and teammate that I can be. He just said he's expressing regret for the past.
That's what
He could be talking about the what you call it, going off against the.
Come on, Brendan. Honestly, Brendan, I understand. No, I understand how the world is viewing it, but Brendan, do you really think he's not talking about that? Brendan, I'm saying
he said that, but the thing is, he said it after the pictures came out, and then
I know.
But then he had a platform. This is different than Ray Rice have you. Ray Rice wasn't on the team. Ray Rice got cut immediately, and then had a press conference where he apologized. Greg Hardy had a chance to do it right when the very first interview when they asked him about it. He just chose not to. So that's the reason why people are like, oh, now you want to do it because now that everybody sees how bad it was, you want to do it. This is different from Ray Rice to the fact Ray Rice didn't have the platform until that initial press conference. So we can't full on compare this to Ray. The only thing we can compare this with Ray Rice is the fact that's domestic violence. That's the only way that's similar. But other than that, and then he came back and retracted his statement by saying he was innocent until proven guilty. So like it makes the apology like wish-wash. That pretty much makes your regret statement, which you didn't directly address it, wish-wash. You know what I'm saying? So you're right. It does. I mean, that's stupid on his part, but why for the fact that we still, but see, the way you're saying it, Megan, is contradicting what he said before, which is supporting the case that you understand what he was saying when you say you regret. I'm saying, but you understand they say innocent until proven. You're like, why would you say that when you just say what you just said? No, I'm saying you can understand why, but I'm saying where everybody else is coming from, where they're calling for his job. Oh man, thank you. But where everybody's coming from, where they're calling for his job, is the fact that they're like, he didn't express regret. And so after the photos came out, when he had multiple interviews to do it.
You're right.
He had multiple interviews to do it. And then it's like he backtracked on his expression for regret. So now pretty much everybody's acting like he didn't express regret because then he backtracked on it. So, you know, everybody's saying that, you know, people are initially even saying that he didn't express regret directly for domestic violence, but people gave him the benefit of the doubt. They gave him the benefit of the doubt until he tweeted again, I'm innocent. When
you say something like that, that means like you don't feel bad for yourself.
You know what I'm saying?
You feel like it wasn't your fault.
But honestly, guys, this is like anybody can debate this. You know what I mean? Like whether he's more trouble than he's worth. I mean, he's an excellent player. He's already proven his impact on the Dallas Cowboys.
So, before we go on, so back to the Cowboy situation. So like, if you release him, what good does that do you for the Cowboys? Other than you get media attention.
That's the thing. I like. When it comes to releasing him, I don't.
Do you think he's interfering with the play of the players, like interfering like Jason Wynns' productivity or Dez Bryant's predictions? Do you think?
I mean, they haven't won.
They haven't
I don't know, bro.
Well,
I'm not saying it's all because of him,
about
but I'm
that,
just saying they haven't won, bro. I don't know. He's been there for 4 of the losses. So I can't say it's because of him they're losing. I'm not gonna say it's because of him they're losing because he's gotten sacks. He's done what he's supposed to do.
Which we didn't have any.
But the problem is there have been players cut before because of their media issues.
I know,
but people are saying that everybody pretty much is unisonically like, bruh, Jason Garrett, Jerry Jones, how many times is it gonna take? You know what I'm saying? T.O. couldn't get on the team at the end of his career. Still a great receiver.
He was
but T.O. never. The last resume they had from T.O., he outperformed Chad Ochocinco in Cincinnati. But the problem with T.O. was people were just like, yo, you're team obliterator. That's what it was. But he's still his last year in Cincinnati, he still balled.
But see, you said he's a team.
Buffalo, Cincinnati.
Greg Hardy that? Is he a locker room? Is there trouble in the locker room with the players?
We don't know that.
The media.
Well, there's a reason why Aldon Smith got released. Aldon Smith could still produce. He got released on the 49ers.
Aldon Smith had problems in the locker room as well.
No, and Greg Hardy does too.
Not really. No, I'm saying he doesn't have problems with players. Aldon Smith did.
But you saw. But I'm saying we can't say he doesn't have problems with players when we saw what he did on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? We have things to go off of. We don't know. We never saw what Aldon Smith had issues with. But I'm saying how can how can you say Aldon Smith had issues with the players, but then we can't say Greg Hardy doesn't when we saw that on the sideline? You get what I'm saying? Like we saw what Greg Hardy did on the sideline and Dez Bryant. He pushed Dez Bryant, everybody away from him. Pretty much just told everybody, and he got in the special teams coach. That's going to cause issues.
Yes,
we can't just say Aldon Smith had issues with people, and we never saw it. But Aldon Smith had off the field issues and then got released, but was still a player that could produce. You know what I'm saying? So it's like. That's why everybody's like, yo, so you're cutting Aldon Smith for this stuff. You're cutting other players that can still produce, but Greg Hardy's still getting that chance. They're like, yo, Jerry, like, at what point are you like, yo, where are your moral lines at? You know what I'm saying? But Jerry's like, at the end of the day, I just want to win. You can't blame a man that wants to win, especially when the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since 1996, I think. That's a long time, y'all. I was born 2 years before that. That's a long time. But that, and it's since the Jimmy Johnson days. Sheesh. That's a minute, man. That's a minute. But so it's like you can either go one way or the other with it. You never he's producing, but it's like at what point do you make your team are you scapegoating your team to keep him on there for his production? But going on to the next time, we're